What's up, Disrupt Nation? So my name is Anthony Delgado, and this is another episode of the Disrupt Podcast. And today we have a special guest, the founder of B. Tell us more about B and why you started the company.
Sure. So I'm John, co-founder of B, and we're building home sharing on the blockchain. You can think of us similar to Airbnb. And so one of the problems that we see with the sharing economy is that the sharing economy is great. The fact that it's proven that you can share your house, you can share your home through platforms like Uber and Airbnb. But as these platforms succeed, none of the success of the company, which are worth multi-billion dollars, goes to early adopters, such as the early Uber driver or the early Airbnb host. So we think that this time around with blockchain, sharing economy 2.0s can be created, where you're still sharing these underutilized assets, such as your car or home, but you also get that financial inclusion as well, with the tokens being spread across everyone.
Definitely. So one of the big problems with Airbnb was actually like racism and discrimination, because people would see a person of color or someone diverse and they wouldn't rent it. So what do you think people can do about that problem?
Sure. So I feel like at economies of scale, there's always some issues with this. And what I can say is our approach is to focus on a very specific community to begin with, which is the cryptocurrency community. So one of the first use cases that we believe our technology will be adopted is at these cryptocurrency conferences, people who are traveling need a place to stay and also have an above average understanding of cryptocurrency. And so while I don't necessarily believe that we could solve this problem that even huge companies are still struggling with, I would say that by encouraging and fostering the blockchain community, which is decentralized and a lot more open-minded, that we can make one more step towards solving these issues.
So one of the reasons that Airbnb was founded was the whole conference problem, was people like sleeping on air mattresses for conferences. And now you have a lot of people that are in the cryptocurrency community, and there's a term, I don't know if you've heard this term, it's called cash poor. So a lot of people in cryptocurrency, they're crypto rich, but cash poor. They have a lot of money tied up in cryptocurrencies, and they may or may not want to liquefy all of those funds. They want to keep it on the blockchain. They want to live this entire blockchain life. So do you think that besides only renting an apartment for 1 week, do you think people could pay their entire rent and maybe live, all 12 months of the year using your platform?
Yeah, well, I would say in the earlier market, people were cash poor and crypto rich, but now they're just both poor. But I do feel that so the example I like to give is if you take cryptocurrencies out of this world today, people wouldn't really feel the difference. Life would still go on, and that's true of a nascent technology. But as this technology evolves and it becomes fundamental to our lives, so say for example you take out this coin and people are like, oh, how do I pay rent? Well, what do I do then? So I feel like all of this is a matter of adoption. So I like to think of it similar to, for example, gift cards in American Express. They weren't accepted everywhere at one point in time, but
now they are.
But now they are, and I think that's what cryptocurrencies are going through. It's integrating into our lives in the fact that, hey, you can get shelter with this, you can get food with this, all the basic necessities, and at that point, cryptocurrency will become a lot more meaningful. And I think it's a matter of time and adoption rather than a matter of technology, because, like I mentioned, the previous examples, it wasn't really technologically different. It was just a matter of time.
Where do you think that the market for cryptocurrency is going to go in the next 5 years? Right, you mentioned now there's the market crash. Do you feel that in the next 5 years there will just be more innovation and new coins, or do you think maybe the amount of coins that are on the market will narrow? Where do you see things?
Yeah, so I would say similar to the internet and also the mobile era, which I participated very heavily in. I think it's a matter of, first, there will be a lot of experimentation, but one of the data facts on the mobile industry, for example, is that most American consumers don't even download a single application a month now, not a single new one.
Yeah.
So I think during times of experimentation, people will be interested to try all new things, and then they will kind of settle on
The best ones.
the best ones.
Here's my top 10 apps.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I think that's how blockchain is going to go. It's going to be a lot of experimentation, but let's say, for example, that you just find like Ethereum just solves most of your problems. Like 99%. You're gonna get tired of trying new chains. You're not just gonna keep going to next chain. And so I feel like there will still be a wide variety of options, but the top 20 to top 50 leaderboard is going to become a lot more consolidated in the next 5 years. It's not going to be like, oh, this new coin comes up and becomes top 50 anymore. It's going to be like, and that might be a little bit centralized to a degree, but hopefully the incentives with the tokens right now are still more decentralized. And I also feel like the technology will become a lot more mature. Like I mentioned before, everything goes back to mainstream adoption. There's just no adoption for this right now. Like you look at Dap Radar, there's only a few hundred active users per $200 billion industry, and I still feel like it is cheap because this industry has a lot of potential, but the reality has to kind of catch up.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to one of the other founders that's here at Token Fest, and they were mentioning how, you know, people have to build real companies. They have to actually circle back, and it's like, okay, you're doing your ICO, but like now it's time to build a real company, get users, start scaling, and all those things. I want to ask you a little bit more about like just you as a human being. How did you get started in tech, and what gave you, I guess, the passion for this space?
Yeah, so I first discovered this because I studied computer science, and a lot of engineers naturally were excited about the currency of the internet, this digital currency, and at that time, just bought a little bit, maybe in 2011, 2012, and just didn't do much with it at all.
Yeah.
And then in 2016, I got really engaged with this. I was currently working at Uber on the security engineering side, just doing cyber security and whatnot. And at that time, it was like I was doing security, and I was like, oh, blockchain could be an interesting component to that. And I was also suddenly starting to trade a lot of ICOs. So I invested maybe like 50 to 80 ICOs between 2016 and 2017, and that got me super excited about the market. And then in 2017, I was like, I don't really want to pay $40 million for an ICO just because they're from Google or just because they're from one of these top Silicon Valley companies when I work in Silicon Valley. And I could just like ask some of my friends at these like other top tier companies to come out and make an ICO. And so, of course, given our experience at Uber, we felt very strongly about the sharing economy. And that's why we came out and built B-Token.
So you guys ICO'd already?
Yeah, so we did our ICO in January. And so we were lucky that the market was a lot more bullish back then.
Yeah.
And so I think now it's about we have the product working, we have funds, and now let's make blockchain more mainstream. Let's deliver on what we promised the community, which can really help the entire ecosystem.
So are you guys launched right now? Like, can I get a home, or can I list my home on B?
Absolutely. So if you go to bnest.com, BEENEST.com, that's where we are. We're live, and we're actively trying to get more usage.
Do you guys currently accept fiat as well? Or no?
So we accept USD through Stripe integration. So we take Stripe, we take ETH, we take B, and what we do is we let the host be rewarded for using B, but we don't limit the payment options.
That's perfect. I love that. Makes a lot of sense. Cool, man. I know we're running low on time. I have like maybe 1 or 2 more questions. What does disrupt mean to you? The word disrupt.
I think the word disrupt is you take something that used to work in the past or maybe has never worked before and you make it, let's say, 10 to 100 times better. And I think that is why technology continues to disrupt, because usually you take a fundamental concept that used to work, whether it used to work just on www.blah.com, and then you put it on a phone and make it 10 times more accessible.
Yeah.
I think all of these, I think in terms of human needs, most concepts have been established to some degree, but
food, shelter, water.
Exactly,
Right?
and I feel like technology is continuously the one that disrupts them because it reinvents how you access these fundamental components.
Yeah, no, I love that. So like food has evolved from like hunter-gatherer, you're just grabbing your own food. To then like agriculture, that was like a technology evolution of food. And now you have like Uber Eats. You open your phone and you press a button, and a guy comes on a bicycle and hands you a sandwich, right? And it's the same thing with shelter, right? Like having a home has always been a thing, and you guys are just evolving the way that happens by making it accessible for people that use cryptocurrencies. I think it's amazing. There's a huge cryptocurrency community now on the island of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has some tax incentives, especially for American citizens, and if you move down there, 0% capital gains. It's really like a huge community out there. And I feel like B could really be used in Puerto Rico, especially for people that are attempting to live 100% off of blockchain. It would be a great example of a use case, but then also not limiting yourself, right? Still being able to accept cash payments via Stripe and making it accessible for everyone, including the community. That's awesome. If people want to connect with you on social media as a personal person, and then also as a company, where are the best places to do that?
Yeah, sure. So I would say email is a pretty good place. So jon@btoken.com. Or additionally, you can find me on Twitter or Telegram. One of those channels. I'm sure you can find me if you wanted to. That's not hard at all.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.